management, temperament, looking at whether, the guy is probably psychologically fit to be given a firearm. So, even if you are an officer who's probably giving out arms, you need to know your officers, because at any particular point in time, this could turn against you.
Big Ted, are there any more online questions before we proceed to the...
Yes. My question is in regards to Babu Owino's case. I understand one of the reasons as to why the court agreed to drop the charges or agree to the agreement between the accuser and the accused is that the medical bills were quite huge and he needed more treatment. So in such a case, can the court, if, for example, I'm the accuser, and I refuse to maybe drop the charges, can the court force the accused to maybe cater for my expenses, or the only way is for me to have an agreement with him so that, and the agreement might be for me to drop the case? Thank you.
As Wakili said, prosecutor said, in any criminal case, the complainant is the state. So the state cannot force you to pay anyone any amount. The only thing you can get is a jail term or a fine. But my brother, please don't get in such issues, because you know that you might pay. Stay away from trouble. Thank you.
Now, there's a distinction between civil liability and criminal liability. Now, offering to pay recompense is civil, okay? You cannot be forced to pay recompense in a criminal trial. In a criminal trial will result in a conviction and you serve sentence if you're found culpable, or where there's an option for a fine, you are fined. So as counsel has already said, that is a very unique case, and basically we'll be asking ourselves a few questions, in a few years, whether it was right or wrong. Where somebody has actually committed a criminal offense, you are an MP, and then you go on to pervert the course of justice and come up with this dual way of sorting out a criminal issue.
Any other online questions before we...
Okay, we have a member who has posted a question. If stopped in a traffic check by police or armed forces, how can they verify that I'm licensed to carry? They may doubt the red card that I am carrying.
Please repeat the question again.
If stopped in a traffic check by police or armed forces, how can they verify that I am licensed to carry, I think, the item? They may doubt the red card that I'm carrying.
Okay, thank you for the question. I'll answer it in an example, the question. I think this really happens along Mombasa-Malindi Road. This one occurs along that road and also along Nairobi-Garissa Road. In that instance, we are in contact with those personnel who are manning the road check. If they find that you have a weapon, they will have to take the book and the card and send for us to confirm. That is normally what we do at that instance. Not unless it is another normal road check, which we are not in contact with them, that is now the problem that maybe he might have to face at that time.
So in that case, do I leave the item with them, or will they?
No, thou shalt not.
What if it's a weekend, Saturday or Sunday? We understand the FLB doesn't work on Saturdays and Sundays. What happens then?
That's why it pays to be a member of Ngao. Call the chairman.
And then also remember, Just the same way you are pulled over for a traffic check and they ask you for your license. Nowadays you hardly carry them, but you just verify by phone. So if you think I'm not licensed, I've told you this is my number, check. It's upon you now to say, hey, you are not. So once you have issued that red card, it's for them, because not everyone knows even how to interpret some of these things. You know, I don't know if you've been stopped and someone asks you for something, like even passports. Unfortunately, not all of our cops in Kenya know how to check whether when someone exited, entered, right? For a gun issue license. If someone asks for it and you have it and you're presenting it, it's now up to them to interpret. If they don't understand, it's not your business. Yes, just prove that you're licensed. If they think otherwise, it's up to them. Yeah. Honest. Then, just again, a reminder on the safety issues. Remember the incident about Ole Sankok, Mheshimiwa, the son who shot himself? Look at how guns are. It's not the business of your son to know that you're armed. This is not a toy. If they want a toy, let them get a toy elsewhere. It's not their business. Not even your wife, I dare say, should know. Why? Why should she? Ama namna gani?
I mean, there was situations, you know, the case of the advocate who shot his own son. Can you imagine? Mr. Nyakodi, what do you do when you shoot your own son? Or shoot your own wife in those particular circumstances? So once again, safety, caution. Make sure safe storage, safe carriage, everything, safety always. Ask yourself, is it necessary? Is it reasonable? And is it a proportionate response to the threat that you're facing? Those three words should be able to save you at all times. Now, I have to beg your leave. I have to be somewhere by 5 o'clock, but I'm happy to leave my email and the telephone number, which can be shared. The chairman will share the you call it? The PowerPoint presentation. Yes, so look at it, but more importantly, download the Firearms Act and look at the nitty-gritty. Read it for yourself. There's always something hidden somewhere. It's only 25 pages, something you can read, you know, as you take a beer before you get drunk.
Okay, we shall proceed with the session. Let me see off Senior Counsel. Again, makofi kwake, asanteni sana.
We can take a few questions.
Thank you, Senior Counsel James Ucheng, all panelists. I have two questions. The first is on the functions of the board, and Mr. Munene has alluded to the same. And one of the functions of the board, as you stated, is to periodically check proficiency of all applicants. Now, we must agree that the board has been in existence since 2016. And so far, that function has not been carried out. And I foresee a situation where a person misuses their firearm, they shoot at target A and get target B, and harm them or kill them, and you will be enjoined in the suit because you're supposed to ensure proficiency. So my question would be, how soon do you intend to, actualize this? Because you have shooting ranges throughout the country. You have certified instructors throughout the country. It's not an easy thing, but neither is it hard. Just like Senior Counsel stated that places like Japan, Switzerland, they have stringent gun licensing laws. I think it's about time that for the sake of those who will never come to the range, as alluded by Senior Counsel here, the prosecutor, Mr. Mulama, I think it's time that you made it mandatory now that before renewal, every licensed firearm owner must undergo a proficiency testing. It's a simple test. 7 meters, A4 piece of target, fire 10 rounds, 7 out of 10 must be on the target. I think it will go a long way in efficiency in ensuring, one, they are proficient in safe handle and use. I think when the person is loading their firearm, they are aiming. The person who is checking is ensuring that they're doing it safely, that it's safe handle and use, and then let them send that kind of results to the Firearms Licensing Board, which will enable you. I'm sure something can be organized around that. I know it's very hard for the board to deal with 30,000 people. It may not be an easy thing, but I think you can use the existing infrastructure in range instructors, certified firearms instructors as a force multiplier for you. That's one. And then number two, you posted, I think it was Mr. Mulama, there was a case of Victor Ndega Kiruthu and another versus the Republic. You posted it on the screen. And I'm keen on point number 3. It is not, this is about self-defense. It is not necessary, however, for there to be an actual attack in progress before the accused may use force in self-defense. It is sufficient if he apprehended an attack and used force to prevent it. Now, I don't want this question to sound political because it's not. The IG has said severally that the people who are abducting people in town are not police officers. Now, I am walking, I am driving, they come. I can assure you, and I'm telling you right now, and I'm not scaring or threatening anyone, it will be a movie scene because I won't go. If the court ruled that there doesn't have to be an actual attack in progress, it is sufficient if I apprehend an attack. There are 6 people, they have come at me. What is my, I don't know what to ask. What's the way out? Because of course I don't want to be caught on the wrong side of the law, but neither do I want to be a statistics. You understand? So what's my way out? I think that's a question I want to ask. Thank you.
Thank you, Bwana Hombe, for that question. I will answer the one on the issue of the board. It is true that that mandate number 1 on the issue of professions of the shareholders has not been done. And actually, let me give you a scenario. There's an old mzee who came to renew at the board. When he was getting out of the car, trying to do the safety, then he shot himself. So you can imagine. Murunga can confirm that. So we had tukasema ni mtu amari amepiga risasi. Someone was shot. So we are in the process of amending this act, and we'll be calling you for views in the new, maybe the next month. These are the kind of things that we'll be checking before we issue with our license. And we'll have certified and gazetted trainers, maybe Mr. Wahome, Ninja. You start now, when you get a certificate from Mr. Wahome or Mr. Gikonyo, it's a trained trainer. Then without that certificate, you will not get the license. So I agree, I give it to you people, it is true. Something that is in the pipeline. We are trying to amend this act. It's a very old act. There are some sections that are not viable. So we would want, when we call for that stakeholders engagement, please come forth, give us our views, and we have a good firearms policy in this country. The other one was on what? Oh, okay. Let me attempt to answer that. It is true you cannot die sitting down. You must fight. But again, assuming these people are 4, and I'm assuming you are carrying a Glock 19. Even okay. well, okay. You are doing your season. That's okay. P10C, that's okay. And these people, if every one of them has a Glock, do you think you can win the fight? Anyway, my view would be, assess the situation. Because you might, as Wakili said, want to play Rambo, then you become a statistic. So assess the situation. And if you can flee. Maybe Wakili would want to add something.
Thank you. You know, when Banahome started and said that, he started by saying that it's not a political question. I definitely knew there was trouble coming my way. But nonetheless, let me attempt to answer as well. So, an interesting point there that was raised by the court. But then, look at paragraph 5 of what the court said. So I'll start with the paragraph number 4. Danger the accused apprehends, however, must be sufficiently specific or imminent to justify action he takes. And was that what amounts to reasonable force is a matter of fact to be determined from evidence. You know, when these people come with the Subarus or with the Volkswagens or whatever vehicles, no one really knows they are going to be abducted. It happens at the heat of the moment. So now, that now brings the issue of circumstances obtaining at the moment. But from the look of things, the realm of law changes from, if you're to kill one or two of them, the realm of law changes from self-defense to murder. Probably this thing is under the seat or wherever it is. By the time you reach at it, so I think the best is to don't start a fight in some of these circumstances unless you are sure you want to go the whole way, which I don't know where it goes to. That is my brief response. And then I agree with the first issue on the periodic, refreshers. Because even for NSPs, many people, they put so many people in danger when they just pull out their guns and, cock and want to go before we start even renewing now. And I think it's a very brilliant idea. Yeah. Thank you. Yes, there's some more.
Maybe I wanted to and this gives us a chance to discuss about it. And I wanted, I think that I had also talked na Wanjoy about the same, because you see the proficiency with a program for all firearm holders, because you see, if you want to give someone a certificate, you have to have a sort of training, maybe 1 week done a proficiency test for that person to renew his firearm. So there is a need for us to sit down with the shooting ranges for 1 week, so that now we can share with all firearm holders, so that I think that is a good idea, which also I had. For abduction, I want to say, they will not come for you that way if you are a firearm holder. Arrest. So if your firearm holder will not come for you like that, I'll call you to surrender your firearms and arrest people to come to you like that if you're a firearm holder. So that will not happen. I am just promising you that. I will come to you like that when I know that.
Okay. We started.
And my fellows, I have witnessed one occasion. This officer comes to your vehicle. Maybe there is a problem that you are armed. When you get to the station, they start to realize that you are armed. They realize that you are armed. Again, they combat you. Combated you, harassed you, not because you retaliated, not because you misbehaved, who are carrying firearm, but they are also trained. So if I fix you because I know where to touch, then again, when we get into there will be, they turn around the game. I want you to think about that and then give a direction on that. Thank you so much.
Well, I don't know whether I can give a direction. And again, don't fix a police officer. So the first thing is this, somewhere here, and this is my card. So now, in another step he takes, he knows that you are armed and you are licensed to carry a firearm. I don't know whether I've answered that. Yeah.
But for traffic offense, Mr. Munene,
Yes, sir.
you have just said that, but this person, because I don't
A person. Allow me to use that word. Not big in terms of the body, in terms of reasoning. Just be calm. Tell him, look, officer, and be Munene, I'm armed and this is my card. From there, any reasonable officer will come down.
We have had discussions in forums.
So, sorry, I'm not an expert matters firearms. So you mean it's in the chamber, like ready for use or what? Charged?
Yes, ready for use.
But why would you do that? I'm just thinking it's normal. And by this, the safety law, of course you're state officers. Is that what you mean by say risasi ikombele? Is that it? Ndio ikombele, ready for use. But the safety is on, right? Yes. Okay. So for me, if you are to do that, I want to believe that you are doing so because you know where you are, there is a likelihood it's not a nice place and therefore you may need to use it, right? Again, it all now boils down to, yes, you are ready for using. So then, what is this apprehension? What is this likely harm that was coming to you that in fact now you are doing that? Because if you were to do that, let's say in a pub, it may raise issues, right? But if you happened to be mugged and now you are carjacked and they didn't know maybe you're armed and you are thrown somewhere on Jogoro that Sanane Usiku where it is a crazy place, it can't be explainable. So for me, I think it will depend with the circumstances surrounding at the moment. I doubt whether you'll do that when you are going to a barber shop, right? Does it answer you? Yeah, it makes no sense, right? Even in church. Yes, so to me, it will depend on the circumstances. Yes.
Because it's always come up in this forum about having, one detainees at the state law office. Because when you come here for training, I mean, you're trained to really be on the go, to be ready at all times. Yeah, when there's an imminent attack, there's no time for me to start cocking and, you need to react and react very fast. So I think that's a disconnect that needs to be addressed. Now, my second question was around the data protection. In this day and age of data protection, you go into these establishments and of course they ask you to write when you identify yourself and you say that, yes, I have these, and they fill in the details. I think some of the details you give are just, it's too much. I mean, in terms of also data protection, what does the law state about that? Because in as much as the establishment has its right of having you in there are times invariably you have to go to some of them for either your meetings and such, and they bring out this book where you have to take, the ammo you have, your firearm number, your phone number, really a lot of details. So is there any regulation around that space?
Yeah, that's still an interesting question. It's still sort of, we like saying lacuna is like a gap in our law. And it's usually a risk. Even myself, when I go to buildings, I see they ask for mobile number, your car registration number, your ID number. More often than not, I lie. I hardly give I have like 3 numbers in the head. The one for, when I go to Westgate, I have the one for Westgate, the one for, so that I don't mix them up. Reason being, there are people who specialize in phishing of information. That book itself, I don't know when you see the time about election time, you keep on receiving some messages. You wonder, how did this person know that I'm a voter in Westlands? But it is a mine of data of these buildings. More often than not, leave it at home. But if you really have to go, then let it be, like if it's a safe, let it be people who can actually, account for your item. In terms of even having an occurrence book, because this thing of just leaving your item there and there's nothing to show that you left it there, I don't think it's proper. So in terms of data, yes, it is. We are still open. We are not really protected wakili. And it's something that I think there was some amendment to the data protection regulations 2022, which are still actually being debated. They are yet to be gazetted. And therefore, as Kenyans, that is a...
Where does the law extend to protect you? For example, when you are inside your car, and when you are approaching maybe the gate to your house, at that time, that is what they are saying, it is always on the exit point, it is in the chamber. And if anyone tries maybe to ask you anything there, you can just bring him down, because the window are already up to rob you. What if you bring him down? Does the law protect you because you are inside your car and at your gate? And basically, whatever he was trying to do, he was trying maybe to rob you, maybe to gain access to your house. you know, because we ask that question most of the time. Because every time we approach the gate, always it is at the chain. Always.
I think if I may try to answer that, again it boils down to situational awareness. Assuming that the person knocking at your door is your son, who ametoka sherehe, akuwa na kifungua gate, afu muangushe. I'm just asking. I think it boils down to the situation that is surrounding. Because if someone just comes and knocks, maybe with kwa mkono hivi, no, if someone comes and smashes your window now, that is aggression. But it's just a simple knock. You might hold your gun, but do not fire. I hope I've answered. Maurice, as we try to...
Thank you. So my question is actually related to an incident which happened in Rock, I think it's 2 days ago, which you mentioned actually. I feel like we are still lost somewhere there because there's no clear way of, if that motorist was, for instance, armed, and you have had this particular accident, somebody has died, here you are facing mob justice. What really would you do in that situation? I feel that situation is, that question is usually left hanging there. There's no clear way. And my point number 2 is on the issue of retreating threat. We have had these incidents where these motorcycle guys will come and, you know, as we say, you don't draw on the drop. So they come point a gun at you and you are probably not very situational aware. And then you find that they have robbed you. And now they have gotten into their motorcycle, they have a gun, you have seen it, and now they have gotten into their motorcycle, they are riding away. So if you drop those guys, will it be a question of, you know, you drop somebody who was retreating, or what is the situation in that case? Thank you.
Let me start with number 2. If someone came and, assuming there is a serious cap to a human life, danger to you as Maurice, is there any danger? Actually, he's running away. Don't draw. Kind to a loss and go. The issue of Roaka, we're having a conversation with Ninja. I don't know. Actually, there's no true answer. But I can tell you for sure, even if you have 3 mugs, and these people are like 400, or rather 2 or 50, can you drop off them because can you have that time? So I don't know. It's a gray area. I agree with you. I don't know what members think. Chairman, what do you think? What would you have done if you were at that scene at that time?
Okay, there is one question you haven't answered from Maurice, and that's the one of the guy on the border had a gun, and you saw it, and he's riding away.
So assuming now Wakili is a robber, he has a gun, but he's moving the other direction. Why would I drop him? Is that gun pointed at me? Let him go. It's a phone. Let me tell you, when you go to court and you find this guy smiling with you here, he will not smile with you, because there is no imminent danger to you.
And guys, please let us understand, and maybe as you take another 1 or 2, then we see any directions from chairman. Please let us understand. We usually say the law is an us. Indeed, it's an us. You don't want to be on the wrong end. If you can avoid a situation, please kindly avoid. At times I usually joke with officers and say, at times when you have made the decision, this is your target, you have identified the target, and you know what's beyond your target so that you don't kusiwe na any collateral damage. If you have to shoot, at times I joke with some officers and tell them, ensure you kill this person. Because again, if you don't do that, you know, going to court with someone who is maimed and the court sees them the way they are, at times, my friend, don't quote me anywhere, but if it is very necessary and you have decided, I want to be charged, I am going to court and this is it, you know what to do.
So we were, let's see what chairman would have done if he was in Roaka with his jeep.
Thank you, Munene. So basically, we always say it's better to be judged by 3 than lowered by 6. True or false? Again, what options do you have? Can you flee? If you can flee, number 1, that is always the right thing to do, flee. But more importantly, if you decide to engage, you must have a plan. because again, they will count your magazine. So you must have a proper plan, including hijacking one of those borders to be fleeing with as you are dealing, because the worst thing is to try and engage those guys and you run out. You know what they'll do to you. So I mean, for me, it's about survival. At the end of the day, we can talk about real life scenarios later. I know Council Molama has to leave also. They had offered us only 2 hours of their time out of their busy schedule. So we shall take maybe last 2 questions, then we can allow Molama to leave. I think Munene can stay on, and we can still share some real life stories here about how to survive. But more importantly, the alibi after you deal is what will save the day. And as they have said, it's better to say nothing until your guys come and give you backup. But this will jail you. Any last questions? Okay, a mic there.
Yes, you can hear.
Yes, something you mentioned that you can say nothing until you call the others. What does that mean? Are you going to write anything on the OB? What happens?
Okay.
I've shot you. I've lied. I've gone to the cop station.
Yes.
I've gone to the cop station. What will I do? As I wait for my counsel to come, what will I write on the OB? What will I tell the cops?
Okay. Yeah, so there's that question. I can take this one here. One more. Please, go ahead.
So I just want to get like very clear clarification. From a legal prosecution standpoint, carrying with one in the chamber is a negative. Yes. Like from your perspective, it's something that you will particularly prosecute as an indicator towards intent or premeditation. Okay. Thank you. I really wanted to know that one. And then 2, a lot of the scenarios that were presented, both by the council up here and the audience, had to do with proximity to a crime. And, you know, a lot of times, you know, if you're 100 meters away, what are you going to do? But you see these videos of people being abducted. There's people here. So as a citizen, like wanting to live in a society, what responsibility and thus rights do we have in those situations to engage with those people who are abducting another citizen? I hope it makes sense, and that no, we're not police officers, but we live here. We are Wananchi of this person that's being taken away, and maybe they'll be put into a quarry or something. So that's.
So thank you. Let me just take quickly. Yeah.
Just a quick one. Perhaps on the issue of just a reminder. You know, when you're driving your car, you don't put on your safety belt when you're just about to have an accident. You put it on always. In the same way, I will carry one at the chamber always. Not because I'm about to use it, not because I've premeditated it. It's because I'm giving myself a competitive advantage. I cannot disadvantage myself. And neither should the law tell me to disadvantage myself. If a man is appearing to me with a gun already pointed, I don't have the luxury of removing my gun, racking it, to engage. I am dead. Friends and relatives are gathering at that point. So I must say, in the same way, when you start your car, you put on your seatbelt. It's the same rationale. I will walk, sleep, go to church, go with one up. Not because I'm premeditating anything. It's because I want to give myself a competitive advantage.
Thank you. So I like the passion that Wahome prosecutes his application. Now I'll start with the gentleman. What do you do? Remain silent. Remember the booking. It is them booking. You know, it is the cops booking. They say, yeah, we got this gentleman in this scene, and we think we found A, B, C, D. We think he might have done A, B, C, D. When they come to interrogate you, say nothing. The most, I just want a lawyer. Or I even need time to cool down. Remember, at the heat of the moment, you can say things that can really mess up your case. Because adrenaline rush, you can say so much, and you'll end up messing. So you'd rather tell them, let me just cool down. I need to actually come to terms with what is happening. don't need to say anything much. Just remain silent. Let them book whatever they want to book, but your initial statement that goes on paper is one that matters, which can come after you get legal advice. And of course, you can actually decide to remain silent throughout the process, right? Yeah, so say nothing. One in the chamber, I think, down. Abductions and what role do we have?
Even apart from abductions, even if you're next to somebody who is getting
Yes,
involved in
yes, yes.
your proximity to crime.
Yes. I think our gun laws are a bit not that liberal. They are quite strict. So, and as I said again, you don't want to solve all ills in society. We see so much happening around us, which is not good, it is not right, but you cannot solve anything. So, if you really have to assist, again, those three questions, necessary, is it necessary? Maybe it's necessary. Okay then, is it proportionate? Right? Is it reasonable? You have, and remember these things happen in a split second. By the time someone is being abducted, someone is being robbed, someone maybe is being mugged, possibly killed, you won't sit down and now check box, okay, is it necessary, tick, they have already gone. So it's a split second and you have to make a decision as to what to do at that moment, at the heat of the moment. So for me, I'll always, if the threat is not imminent to you, you may want to think twice. In terms of, if it's an abduction, maybe just get simple details. It's an SUV, brown in color, registration number. Because our laws are always skewed, and unfortunately so. Our laws are always skewed, yes, to favor the accused, but once we have established our case as prosecution, this burden shifts to you, and it's now you to prove that whatever we are saying is not what really happened. It's usually a very big burden that we have, but once we have offloaded, then it's on you to say, I was acting in self-defense and all those things, which you don't want to get there. Yeah, so it's not really, doesn't really sound nice, but that's what it is. Yeah, I think I've taken all, right? Okay, thank you.
Maybe I can add on something on the issue of abduction. The firearm that you carry on your waist is not a tool of trade. You're not a police officer. So in any case, let's say there's a shootout somewhere at Kirigiti, for example, and the DCI people are shooting the bad people. You drew your firearm. You might get shot saying he was one of them. So if it's not on you, please don't draw that firearm. Mr. Wahome, moja mbele. There's something called circumstantial evidence, proving circumstances. If you're in a bar, for example, you're drinking, to add more insult to injury, moja iko mbele, like what Mheshimiwa did. You could tell there was no time to rack. He carried one belly. You can see the circumstance. You can see what happened to him. I'm not saying that don't carry. Depends on your training. I think that is all. Any other issue?
Okay, yeah, maybe go ahead. Then after this, we'll allow prosecution counsel Alan to leave. But meanwhile, yeah, we can allow you to say something.
All right, just a quick one. I've experienced a situation where now you're having a rogue, maybe somebody who is not following, a police officer who's not following what is supposed to be happening. So I was in a petrol station, parked with my friends, and all of a sudden the guy wants my parking, and I don't give him parking, not knowing that he's a civilian. I mean, he's a policeman in civilian, calls back up, gets me in jail, and I hear him on call, speaker, wekele charges yote. So this kind of like makes me worried that, okay, as a licensed holder, if I get a license and they can easily just wekelea charges, how do I protect myself in such a situation where I had nothing against them for them to charge me, to a point that even the other officers were like, we can't put you in because, of course, this guy is trying to just, it's malice. So if in the event that, I understand is where his question is coming from, that in the event that now the police is actually now using this against you, how do you handle such a situation where you are responsible, but the other side is clearly trying to frame you for such an...
Yeah, so one thing I'll say that it happens, unfortunately in our country, it happens a lot. But one thing, I'm happy that most of you, if not all, are members of Ngao. That's a plus for you, because always, because when you are a gun holder, remember, it is a privilege that comes with lots of responsibility. The state has given you a gun amongst millions of Kenyans and entrusted it on you so that it comes with that responsibility in the sense that it's now upon you in such situations, always maintain your calm. Number two, always, because now you are in a certain club, allow me to use that. Always call counsel, always seek for advice, call the officials of Ngao, because there's nothing much you can do. If someone is rogue and they have decided they want to fix you, you see, there's nothing you can do. Always have a backup plan in terms of giving someone a call, tell them, I'm here, I don't know what's happening, let them come and vouch for you as well, because it starts from there. But if you remain silent and decide now to fight it off or wiggle out of it, it can get to a point you cannot get out. But just always have that call and make a call, place a call, get counsel. Yeah. But it's also very important to be in such associations because at least you can be able to get counsel on short notice. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Before we allow our guest, Bwana Mulama, to leave, Kuria, one of the things that we were once taught by Wahome and others is when you're in that situation, the cops are there. Of course, if you keep quiet, they will see like you are being kichwangumu. So just pretend you're crazy. Just be like, yeah, karibu waniue. But that time you have already called your backup. In fact, I don't know, is our emergency channel still working? Send a pin and a message to that emergency channel. Those are the benefits of being in Ngao. Send something there, say, guys, I'm in mess here. And by the way, we haven't used it in a long time, but there are days we used to respond and we used to save the situation. So as you're there, you'll just be like, yeah, karibu waniue. Hey, until your guys come. When your guys come, now you chill. Because sometimes ukinyamaza unajua those guys, sitaki sijui kama wengine wako hapa, they might even wekelea you a slap. So ladies and gentlemen, at this point I would like to request that we allow Alan Mulama to leave. Alan Mulama, and once again, thank you so much for showing up. We don't take your time for granted. Those are fantastic insights. And again, his number and email will be forwarded. There is something that's already shared. I think you don't mind guys DMing you just to get a bit of insights or for anything that he may have missed or we may have missed. So we are basically winding up. So as I see him off, maybe you can shoot a few questions for the Firearms Licensing Board, but basically we are winding down. Thank you.
Thank you very much, guys.
Maybe a question. You have a question? For the members.
Just wanted to ask, where does your house start from? From the gate or from the main door? Because it all depends. I was told something and I would like to clarify something also. Because if I'm outside the gate, it's treated something else. If you're inside, it's something else. But you're told if you're inside the house.
Well, I think the question is this. It's not where your house or ends is. It is where does your safety start? Because if someone came with a panga here and I'm in an open space, surely I will drop him dead. But I know where your question is coming from. When you hear someone opening the gate at your bedroom, surely you might not drop him because maybe you don't know who it is. The question again comes in the imminent danger. When someone is 50 meters away, even with your pistol, you might miss him. If you're not a good shooter like Ninja and Wahome and the rest. So the issue is how close are they to you? So where your house is not a problem. It is how safe you are. Because that firearm that you have is for your own safety, not for the safety of the house. It's not a tool of trade. Yes.
There's a scenario you spoke about.
Because the question will be, when when Mulama now is on the other side, were you under attack? So why are you playing the police officer? Yeah, so just call a police officer. If they don't come to your gate, keep safe, call the police officer. Don't engage.
Hello, guys. Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
If you remember the incident that happened in Kitengela, whereby the lady and the gentleman in the vehicle were being stoned. Now, imagine if now you are armed and in that scenario. How do you get out of the whole situation? Because I imagine that you're surrounded, the car is being stoned, everybody is really worked up, and you in the car, and maybe your colleagues, you're all being stoned. So how do you engage?
Again, that's a question that I might not be in a very good position to answer, because, again, it's situational. Assuming, can the car move? If they can move, you can flee.
I think if you can
remember. Or
remember.
if Kokodits now, at least, I don't know. Maybe Major you can try and...
if you can remember the video that was...
sorry, I didn't see that, sorry.
Yeah, there was a video that was going around.
Okay.
The car was stalled. They were trying to escape, but apparently the guy, I think the car got stuck. And so everybody was throwing stones in the car. And you could see, how do you go about it? Because what I've heard from today's discussion, we look like we are always against the government of the day. We look like we are being coerced into accepting that being an armed person is dangerous.
I don't know. Well, if I'm in that car, and now I'm measured, people are stoning, and I have a firearm, I think I'll fire a few shots in the air. Just try and scare people. Because now the car can't move. But if the car can move, I'll move with it. So again, it depends on the circumstances surrounding the situation.
All right, maybe let me just ask a question. Maybe this is what we need to think about as an association.
Yes, sir.
Is there a possibility, is there an opportunity for us to propose amendments to the law? Because it seems we are surrounded on every corner. It's almost like those who made these laws do not carry firearms or do not intend to carry firearms, while I know most of them do. Is it that then we need to make an amendment to the law, and we propose as an association and people who are legally mandated to carry firearms, so that we're able to sort out this issue? Because we're cornered in every way. You know, carrying this thing is almost now like a curse by what we are discussing.
Well, thank you for that insight. Actually, we are, as Major Morunga said, we're in the process of trying to repeal our this act is very old. So very soon we'll be calling for views from you stakeholders. Those are the views that we would want to incorporate in the new act, so that when it goes to Parliament, lobby people, so that at least you don't carry vol unrest. I think that is a good point to Manani, and we want to hear your views on the same. Thank you, sir.
Monene, just what you have said, that you are amending the law or something to that effect, maybe it will be a good opportunity to define what property is. Because you may find a situation where somebody probably grabs your laptop or something like that, and it may seem like it's something simple, but to some of us, that is our lifeline. You know, that laptop getting lost means that you are back, or you're messed up, basically, so to say. So it will be an important maybe addition or amendment or whatever you view it, to define what property is, because somebody might think property is just a car, but for some of us, it's probably better, in quotes, to lose a car than lose something like a laptop, because that is where our lifeline is, you know, our life income or whatever is being generated from. So it will be an important addition to say what this property, because it's defense of self and property. What is this property you're talking about? Is it a house? Is it a car? Is it a what? Is it a phone?
I hear you, Bwana Morris, but if I'm let me try to argue on the other side of the law, because the law is two-sided. Assuming your MacBook is lost, are you saying you cannot get another MacBook as opposed to killing me, cannot get another life? But I agree with you. That's something that need to be defined, maybe on the value that the value of the property. So in the sense, if the MacBook was $1 million, for example, then you can use force. If it's anything below, I think we should have that valuation. So I agree with you. It's a point that when that time comes, we shall take into consideration. Thank you. So, sorry, I didn't get that.
Aren't we then putting the risk of thieving being put, aren't we then, if we establish some sort of rule like that, aren't we then putting the risk for thieving upon the person being stolen from, as opposed to the thief being the one that has to consider, is this worth my life? Is this worth me going down this path if this person is armed and then executing that? It seems like we're kind of flipping that around and saying, is it worth me taking a life? Does it make sense?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Because my question is this, as I said earlier, if someone came and took this phone, assuming it is an iPhone 16, whatever it is, and then he's running away, will I shoot him because of a phone? That's something that you have to think on your feet.
I mean, yes, if he has it already, but what if you're resisting and he's pulling and...
But you see, I'm saying he's already fleeing from you. When you drop him, surely, I'm not a police officer, maybe Wahome will tell us. I'm told if you shoot someone from behind, then it is not just fire, but is it not so? And unless he's running from law of custody. Yeah, exactly. But it is something that I agree with Maurice, something that we need to define that issue. I hope Major is taking some notes on that issue. We will be calling for that public participation and stakeholder engagement. So please, when that time comes, please come forward and let's have your views. Thank you.
My question is, sometimes we do have international shooters who come to Kenya. And as Ngao Kenya, we normally invite them, and they apply for permits to come in with their items so as to compete. So the reason as to why they were given a permit is purely sports. In case a competitor is attacked on the road or somewhere, can he use his firearm to protect himself, or is he only allowed to use it for sporting purposes?
Let Major Moronga answer that.
Okay, thank you. First, I will answer for the use of firearm by firearm holders. I think we need to have a complete section in the Firearms Act stipulating how to use firearm. That is what the one thing I've picked in that discussion that we have right now, so that we can have all scenarios on how you can use a firearm, because in the Act there's there's none. So I think for the next review that we need to have, we need to really think about how all situations that can warrant the use of firearm by a firearm holder. Because for us, discipline forces, we know how to use it. So, but now in this scenario, it is very different, because you have to post anything that you do to the law. So whether it is wrong or right, it has to be assessed later, whether it is right or wrong against the law. For purposes of permits, for the foreigners or non-Kenyans that are coming to Kenya, we now have that challenge for that purpose. Why? Is because, one, the person has we don't have his or her ballistic record. That's now the situation. Okay, you can use it, but now, later it will come to be problematic when we want to identify, or when the police officers want to identify that weapon of yours. Of course, you have your permit, yes. So that is one thing also I also thought about, and I discussed with him and a chairman, which that is within our board, because we make any person that comes with a firearm when we give him permit to go first to ballistic, so that now he might be free to use anytime he faces challenges, yeah? So that when I give you a permit, I take you to ballistic so that we have records for those non-Kenyans at that time, so that now you're free to use your firearm while in Kenya. Because that is the only challenge that now we have for that reason.
Major, maybe I can help to answer that question which Biggie has asked. Because recently in South Africa, when we are participating in the African Handgun Championship, we posed such a very similar question at the airport. If I'm attacked, I'm carrying one in the chamber actually. If I'm attacked out there, can I use this firearm to protect myself and other firearms and everything else that I have? And the answer was a very strong no, because your license or your permit is for sporting purposes only. You are not there to defend yourself using the firearm. You are not there to defend anybody using the firearm. In fact, they say if you are attacked and they want your firearm, just give it out. Don't respond, don't fire anything outside or at anything outside the range where you are participating in the sport. So your permit is specifically and strictly for sporting purposes only, not for self-defense, not for the defense of any other person or any other property. Maybe that we can draw comparisons from that and try to see if that can help in our situation when foreigners are coming for sports shooting in Kenya. Thank you.
Okay, maybe it's now you're now bringing a question for me as a regulator. Now to start thinking, do I only give you this firearm when you're going for shooting, or you want to carry it at all times? Because now that is now a challenge. Eh? For the person that is coming, will he now, where will he put the firearm when he's not shooting? That's now the question, right? Where will he put the firearm when he's not shooting? Yeah. Because if I was you, I would have asked that question. Because now, I will go with this firearm to a hotel. I will not deposit it anywhere. In case I'm going to that hotel, when I'm attacked, what will I do?
Major, just for, again, to borrow from the more advanced countries which have been in this for longer than us, you carry your firearm, you take it to your hotel, you keep it in the safe or leave it with the hotel strong room. But the point is you cannot use it other than for sporting purposes. So even if it were to be stolen, you probably just take that as any other item which would have gotten stolen anyway, like your phone or your laptop or whatever. But you cannot use it to defend either yourself or any of the property that you have by the mere fact that you are carrying it, because the permit is strictly for sport only. So maybe when you're developing or when you're coming up with these laws, it will be important to maybe compare with some of these other countries, how they are doing it and what kind of legislation they have in place in regard to this.
Thank you. Perhaps if I may, I think South Africa is a bad example because different jurisdictions have different rules. And having traveled to South Africa for sporting, we put the same question across and we asked them, is it a written law? The answer was no. So again, you know, but we were told categorically that in South Africa, if a civilian uses a firearm for whatever incident, first you're considered guilty until proven innocent. So we never carried our firearms. We left them always. In fact, I don't know, in 2019, it was 2019, there was a robbery that happened. A Chinese guy went to a jewelry store and he was living in the same hotel as us. He was followed by people in a vehicle. They came out. There's a huge rotating door into the hotel. They shot at him as he was running to the hotel. We were in the hotel lobby. We saw everything. We were all armed. We all ran away. because we had already been told, mind your own business. But if we were to shoot at those 4 people, we would have nailed them. But they robbed him in the hotel lobby there. So again, we were told to mind our own business, we mind our own business. In America, where we've been as well, for shooting competitions, they tell you you can do whatever. If you need to protect yourself, protect yourself. You have a permit, you have an ATF permit, you can go wherever, where the jurisdictions just mind the different states have different jurisdictions. So again, for as long as it's not written law, it's left to the interpretation of, it's not written that if you have a permit to carry a license in South Africa. So with that permit, of course, if I have to defend myself, it should allow me to. But the unspoken rule is don't use your firearm as a civilian because you are guilty until proven innocent.
Thank you, Wahome Emeritus, for that insight. Gentlemen, okay, there are 2 ladies. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to end this session. I know there are always many unanswered questions, but we cannot terminate or learn everything today. We need to leave something for tomorrow. Is that a position we can agree to take? Because it's gone a bit longer than anticipated. Yes, so again, I want to thank you all. I want to thank our good friends here, Monene Wanjohi, Asante Sana. Major Murunga, Asante Sana. These ones have stayed a bit longer. You know, Senior State Counsel has a parting shot, so I will sit down and allow him to say one more. And I see SG. SG, say something first.
Thank you very much, Chairman. First of all, I'd like to, my comment is from Mheshimiwa Khatib Mwashetani, who was supposed to be with us, and he was supposed to come with Honorable Murkomen as well, but due to the situation right now, impeachment and all, they could not make it. But they had one request to the board. Since I told them, they know that the board is here, they told me, and they'll record a video which will be uploaded, I'll share with you. They had a recommendation and they gave me an example of, nowadays the licensing system is like being given a driving license and you don't know how to drive. So same applies here. They recommended that we should have a regulation whereby before someone is issued with a certificate, firearm certificate, they should undergo perhaps training such as this so that you know the laws, and also perhaps common basic handle and use training. And that is all. The other thing is I'd like to thank our chairman, Mr. Martin Chengo, because preparing such a thing, such an event, is not an easy thing. And honestly speaking, yes, we've played a part as the MC, but we've only played 1%. 99% has been played by chairman. He has been trying to organize for this thing since January. So you can imagine trying to get the facilitators, trying to organize such a thing, and finally he made it. So thank you very much, Chairman, and that is all I have to say. Thank you.
Would you allow me to stand? Thank you for listening to me. I've learned a few things, and as well, each day is a learning day. And I have at least 2 things to say. Let me say one in Kiswahili. Bunduki sio miwa. Number 2, and this happens when you go to Mombasa, when you have you carry a firearm, people always print. I'm sure you know what printing means. Especially when you wear a shirt like this on the beach, you can see your firearm. That thing that does not augur very well with the people down there. So if you must go there, make sure you conceal. The last thing is guns don't kill people. People kill people. Asanteni.
Okay. Thank you all for an afternoon well spent. Coffee on the house is over, but you're free to spend some money. And now we can mingle. Ted, you can give us some muziki. Asanteni sana. See you soon. Okay.